Okay, so no surprises. Everyone, the world and his wife, is talking about AI right now, and for understandable reasons. But potentially, a lot of organisations maybe don't have an overall plan. Is that fair to say?
I think it varies, Phil, and it varies between industries, I would say. So, I mean, for example, if you look at the research industries, the likes of Francis Crick, Sanger Institute, Cambridge University, they've been doing AI for 40 or 50 years. And now when we're seeing is much more investment in that area, and I would say their plans are fairly mature. I mean, you look at, for example, Cambridge University and the work we're doing with them around Project Dawn. One of the things they're looking at, along with the UK Atomic Energy Authority, is nuclear fusion. I know something that's very personal to you, Phil, is the energy crisis and sustainability of data centers. So energy solutions like fusion are going to become hugely important in future. So they're working using AI, built out the world's largest AI supercomputer at Cambridge. They're working with the UK Atomic Energy Authority to build a digital twin of what a fusion plant could look like in future. Now, we're still a few decades away, I think, from that coming to reality. But those research institutes are certainly well versed in using AI and are taking advantage with some of the funding that's coming from government organizations to really drive the use. I would say the other industry that's pretty mature is the algorithmic trading organizations. They've been using AI for probably 10 or so years. Their models are very mature, their plans are very mature. They're now looking at supersizing those models, scaling those models out, and leveraging the latest GPU capability to do that. So I would say their plans are fairly mature. If I look at the advertising industry, if you think where NVIDIA have come from with their GPUs and around video gaming, but then it was advertising that initially picked this up as ability to advertise direct to consumers using their preferences, using knowledge of the consumers. So I think, again, they're mature. And I think we're seeing an emerging set of, I'll call them cloud service providers, almost GPU hyperscalers, who are building out capability around AI because they know there's a long tail of organizations that are going to look to rent capability from them in future. So I would say those four industries are pretty mature. There's probably other industries that that are mature as well. But then, to your point, Phil, there's the long tail, and I'd include Dell in that long tail of organizations who are kind of thinking, there's something in this. We need to have a plan. What are use cases going to be, and how do we get started? So I think maturity and the amount of planning depends on the industry right now.
Okay, and in terms of 2024 priorities, clearly AI sort of getting to grips with that is front and center for a lot of people. But I think there was a fairly recent survey, was it Innovation Catalyst study, I think, that also revealed that sort of cost savings and efficiencies are a number one or a very high priority for innovation in the current year. And I suppose the obvious question is that counter, so people want to pile into AI and potentially spend loads on that, and yet they're trying to cost save efficiencies. Is it possible for those two things to happen, I suppose, is the first question.
I think it is, but I don't think we should stop there. Even if I look at my own organization, Dell in the UK, we have some fairly large inside sales teams. So people in call centers effectively in a number of different regions who call our customers to support them and help them on their digital transformation journey. Now, I would love them to spend more time doing that. But us, like many other large organizations, have some processes that are a little bit challenging. And I find that many of my teams are actually spent a lot of time doing things like chasing up logistics, making sure SKUs are right on quotes, getting pricing approvals in place, looking at areas where maybe the wrong equipment's gone to the wrong location and they need to fix that. Now, I think there's a massive opportunity for AI to, well, first of all, let's get the processes right. Then let's look to automate those processes. And then let's layer on AI to drive efficiencies, but ultimately allow them to spend more time talking to our customers. And whilst there's a big focus around cost saving and inefficiencies in AI, I'm really optimistic about organizations that are looking more outward. You know, how can AI and generative AI transform the way we do business with our customers? And that for me is the really exciting piece. You know, so for example, there's some great companies in the UK, Wave, who are building really a paradigm shift in automated driving. And they've got an incredible model that they're building out, which will be available to all OEMs in future to help them accelerate their autonomous driving opportunities. And then there's other organizations that we're working with, the likes of Holistic AI and Aligned AI, who really look at how do we look at models and how do we ensure there's no inherent bias in those models? So really AI for a better future world. So whilst inward-looking projects around cost efficiencies are certainly where I think most people are starting, and we're certainly starting, I'm really optimistic about outward-looking AI projects as well and what they can do to make the world a better place.
Okay, and is it, I mean, it's just another investment in one way. So is it easy to understand the upfront cost compared to the benefit, whether that's a cost benefit or an efficiency benefit, as we talk? And perhaps you can say, I know there's the talk about this AI first approach to investment. So perhaps you can talk about that and, you know, what it is and why that's significant in terms of the discussion we're having.
Yeah, Phil, the first thing is it's difficult. There's no magic pot of gold that organizations are creating and saying, you know what, as well as your day-to-day budget, we're going to give you a bunch more budget to go after this AI opportunity. Nobody's really got that opportunity. And in fact, again, as part of the survey that we've done, 18% of UK decision makers, and only 18% say they plan to have a dedicated AI budget. So that leaves the other 82% kind of working out use cases, working out returning investment, starting pilot projects, and then working out how you scale it. Again, I can use an example internally. We've got a lot of our internal teams who are on a pilot right now using Copilot. So what we're asking them to do, and this always starts with a conversation with our customers, we say to our customers, look, can we use Copilot to record this conversation, to create a transcript, and as a result, create notes from the meeting and any follow-up actions? And about 80 to 90% of our customers say they're very comfortable with that. So we've done an analysis about how much quicker it is for our teams to use Copilot to have more efficient and effective follow-ups with our customers and more accurate follow-ups with our customers. And that analysis would say that our teams are roughly 20% more efficient when they do that. So that doesn't mean we're going to reduce our heads by 20%. It means we have the opportunity to talk to 20% more customers. So when you've got a proof of concept like that and a pilot, and admittedly, this is only across about 20% of my team right now, it then gives you the opportunity to build the ROI. You know, what is the cost of the infrastructure? What is the cost of the licensing for Microsoft to do this? What is the return on that investment? And I think also, Phil, what we're trying to do when we're looking at return on investment, we're looking at what else do we get from this? You know, for example, if we then, as a consequence of recording all these conversations with our customer, I have the ability to then ask that data, you know, what are we talking about today? Where are we being successful? Where are we losing? And I can get, you know, that information at my fingertips. Then it helps our organization do more and be more effective for our customers. So we have to find a way of trying to build that into our ROI as well. But it's not easy. It's absolutely not easy, especially in this new and emerging world. A lot of people are very ambitious about what they can get. A lot of people are a little bit more conservative.
And in terms of the sort of AI first investment, is it as simple as when you're looking at, a problem and a potential solution, you put AI sort of at the top of the list as potentially the solution, and if it's not suitable, then you look elsewhere. But it's putting, I say, AI front and center as a potential solution rather than sort of shoehorning it in a bit later, or not always considering it, as the primary potential. So is that right, or is it something more complicated?
Yeah, I would say it again, it varies. Most customers I speak to, they're still kind of working out whether to lead with AI, because as you know, that most spend on IT at the moment is really focused around keeping the lights on. Ensuring that companies are able to provide the level of service to their employees and their customers that they do right now. I think what we've started to see shift is when, the infrastructure, the IT equipment is looking to be renewed or refreshed, that's a good time to press pause and to say, look, just because we've always done it this way, is this the right way? And can we leverage that keeping the lights on budget to maybe do something more interesting around AI? So I think that's where I'm seeing customers develop an AI first investment approach.
And in terms of the spending, as you say, they potentially aren't being given a new pot of money, so they're having to invest sort of differently or smart. I don't know how you characterize it. So getting more return for the same amount of money, that's what's sort of driving them. Is that right?
Yeah, I think we're definitely seeing that. I think, at Dell, we've done something to help our customers on that journey. We've built, along with NVIDIA, something called an AI factory, which basically puts building blocks of infrastructure to start your AI journey. And actually, we can put a financial model in place as well so that companies only pay for what they use, which I think is really important as we're emerging into this new world. People don't want to spend a lot of capital investment to build out the biggest infrastructure to do what they might do until they start to see a return on the investment. So when we built these utility models, it enables them to grow and spend as they grow and just check and validate that return on investment is being met.
Okay, I'm also wondering, I mean, shadow IT has been around for a while, and I suppose the main fear was, security issues and maybe a little bit of, how much was being spent. I'm just wondering, is it still even more of an issue with AI, that there are sort of, whether it's the costs or just problems arising, people going off and getting unregulated Gen AI applications and the business doesn't know what's going on. Are you seeing that, or is that not a problem at the moment?
That's definitely happening right now, Phil. But I would say that's a double-edged sword. The good thing about it is it's typically people within an organization who see value in AI and are trying to prove that value, which is going to be critical for organizations when they're making decisions about investment. So, we're seeing, mini projects with some GPU servers under a desk somewhere, people testing their use cases, people getting their data in order so they can layer on AI and see benefit from that. But and to be honest, they're the trailblazers, and that's actually really important in this world. Now, as you've quite rightly said, there's a downside to that as well. Budget being spent uncontrolled, potentially being spent without the appropriate governance in place, which could lead to challenges for organizations. So it's about getting that balance right. I can tell you what we did to try and get that balance right. We recognized there was a bunch of shadow IT projects. So what we ended up doing was we created something called, he's become the president of AI. Now, that's not because this individual knows the most about AI, but it means he's the central point for all AI ideas. So he went out to all of our organization and said, tell us about the stuff you're doing. Tell us about the stuff you'd like to do. Tell us about the stuff that you think AI can have a significant impact on in terms of the way we serve our customers. And he got something like 800 or 900 different ideas, went through an analysis process of deduplication, taking out the crazy ones, and then eventually got down to about 40. And then we did a detailed ROI, we looked at them and we said, how easy is it to do this? How quickly can we do it? And what is our likely return on investment? And we've now got down to 6, which is company-wide backed AI initiatives. Now, some of them might fail and they might be replaced by others. But in that way, we've got everybody pointing to this one organization, which I hope will allow the innovation to still happen because they become the feeder for these ideas, but also create a governance and a structure and a focused way forward for everyone in the organization.
Okay, and I was going to ask that in summary, what if you could describe what a pathway to a successful sort of Gen I approach looks like, but it may be that in answering the previous question, you've kind of semi answered it because obviously you've explained how Dell have sort of approached it. But are there other things that you can sort of feed in as to how to go about this Gen AI program, bearing in mind upfront investment versus longer term benefits? As I said, just your thoughts as to what people should be putting in that plan, if you like.
You're absolutely right, and I'll point to some of those examples and then maybe expand upon it. But I think it's going to be different for every organization. I think one of the most important things is that top-down sponsorship. I think AI is now a boardroom conversation. I think the board, on the one hand, are petrified about the disruption to their business and the potential that AI has to have them on the front page of the newspapers for the wrong reason. But by the same token, they can't ignore it because they know the opportunities it's going to bring. So I think having that clarity at a board level within organizations is super important. And then for me, creating this center of excellence, we did it via the president of AI, but a center of excellence which really includes cross-functional teams in that, and then ruthlessly decide on your use cases. Make sure it's aligned, obviously, to your business objectives and has a demonstrable ROI as well. And then decide how are you going to do it. Now, there's lots of large language models available today, but many of them sit in the public cloud. Many of them are quite expensive. And many of them require you bring your data to the AI, which from a cost perspective is challenging. From a data governance perspective is also challenging. So for me, a better approach is to look at maybe using an open source LLM and then decide how you're going to train that model. And for me, it's much more cost effective and secure if you're going to do inferencing on-premise or with a co-location provider. And then you're bringing the AI to your data to train it with the most relevant data you have in your organization, and then ultimately to positively impact your team's experience as well as your customer's experience. So for me, that if I had to break up the journey of success in a simple way, that would be how I would approach it.
And maybe just sort of potentially some words of encouragement. I mean, at the start of the conversation, you explained there are some industries where AI use is fairly mature, but is it fair to say for the majority of people, they're still getting to grips? So, I mean, you read everything and you potentially as an organization think, hey, everyone's doing AI, we're not, we're going to miss out, it's too late, we've missed a chance. But is it fair to say that's not the case, that there's still vast opportunity to get, as long as you get your strategy right, that AI make a difference for your organization? Yeah, we're still in the relatively early days for many organizations.
100%. I talked about those industries at the start who I believe are fairly mature, but our long tail of customers, and I would include Dell in this, 90% of organizations are still working out really what to do. And the bigger organization, the more challenging it is because it all starts with the data. Data is the fuel if AI is the engine. And getting a clear understanding of your data, where it is, because much of this is in the public cloud or on-premise or at the edge or with some of your partners, get a handle on where that data is, what it is, and how you're going to maximize the value from that data on your AI journey is critical. And everybody is starting there, and everyone is scratching their head, and everybody knows there is a long way to go in this journey. So we're at the start of this wave, Phil, by no means at the end.
And maybe just finally, in terms of sourcing potential partners such as yourselves to help? Again, are there things to look out for in the conversations you have? You know, if someone comes along and says, yeah, we can sort it, you know, 6 months time, you'll be AI up and ready, you know, suspicious of people like that. Just, you know, what kind of partner, what kind of language they're talking, do you look out for? Do you give you the right, you know, the right feeling, if you like?
No, I completely agree. We're running a series of events at the moment, and they're for people that are on different parts of the AI journey. So we had a recent event at Outernet, which was kind of like a taster, but a number of guest speakers talking about their AI journey to give people the ideas about what they could do. And then we followed that up with another event at McLaren. We sponsor McLaren F1. And that was really about data and data governance. And then there's an option. So companies can go down different paths. We have something called an AI Accelerator Workshop, which is where we bring together our AI experts along with the customer. And we talk about, you know, AI maturity. Where are you on your journey? And how do you accelerate that maturity? So that's one option. There's also another options that we run with our GPU partners, with NVIDIA, where we'll do deep dives on specific use cases for specific industries, like financial services, like automotive, like pharmaceutical, where we'll talk about the models that have been built with NVIDIA and how what can be taken off the shelf and what can be inferenced using your own data. So everybody's on a different part on that journey, but I would like to think Dell, as well as your other partners in the and whoever you're working with, will be able to help you mature on that journey, no matter where you are.
Okay, as ever, it's been great to chat to you, and some fascinating insights into the world of AI, which, as we know, is going to keep us very busy for the foreseeable future. But at least for now, Steve, really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Great to see you again.
Thanks again.